Yep, we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Resurgence News on Sunday, the 16th of March, 2025. And once again, we have another packed show for you. We're going to talk about reform. Obviously, a lot of implosion going on there that needs to be discussed, and the latest Labour backtracking on council tax. So without any further ado, let us get that intro rolling. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Resurgence News. I'm Martin Costello. Normally, we would be broadcasting live on Facebook, but tonight we are trying something different. We're going to try YouTube. Normally, as well, I'd be joined by my co-host, Debbie Hicks, but she's not very well at the moment. So we just want to, everyone here at Resurgence News, send her our best wishes for a speedy recovery. She will be back soon, I'm sure. Anyway, thanks for joining. We're going to talk about reform in a minute, and also Labour's backtracking on the council tax. And after that, hopefully in about 10 minutes time, we'll have Damon Sharp coming on from the British Freedom Alliance. Well, let's just get straight down to business then. Big things going on in reform at the moment, a lot of infighting and civil war, which is extremely disappointing, to say the least. Reform, of course, have been a massive movement who have made great grounds, and particularly in the last general election as well, coming third in a lot of places, getting 5 seats, which is absolutely phenomenal. Of course, Nigel Farage got in, Richard Tice, and Graham Lowe as well, who recently was had the whip taken off of him. There were some very nasty allegations put forward about him. Let's just talk about this now. Now, this is the article here we've seen on BBC. So basically, normally I wouldn't share BBC stuff, as you know, but of course they like it when things like this happen. But the report here anyway says that Reform UK referred Rupert Lowe to police. They said they suspended him because there was threats of physical violence against the chairman, which turned out to be, wow, a lot of this turned out to be untrue. There was lots of allegations against his staff as well, which since then have come out and actually said no, that's not true. So yeah, Reform, the successor to Farage's Brexit Party, as I just mentioned, has been riding high in recent polls. But this is a spectacular and public explosion, they say, of divisions at the top of the party. So we have to ask, what about this? Now, there was huge backlash about this following on. It seemed that there was a great deal of support for Rupert Lowe. Many people actually sided with him on this because they seen him as one of the few that are actually standing out and working for the party and actually doing things as a fantastic parliamentarian, asking the right questions and actually challenging. And of course, there was issues with like the grooming gangs and things like that that the majority of the supporters, I understand, want him to speak about. So this is a really big case of civil war that we could really do without at the moment. But it gets more sinister than that. I'm going to play a video in just a second from Stephen Wolfe. Now, Stephen Wolfe was a member of UKIP a while ago, and he feels that this is basically something that's been constructively done to remove him from power because he was getting too popular, which was not liked by the leader of the party. Just watch this video. This is Stephen Wolfe on Talk TV earlier this week.
But is it about ego? I absolutely believe it is for two particular reasons. One is that we're aware that Rupert Lowe made a speech at one of the conferences and he received a huge standing ovation, which seemed to outlast that of Nigel Farage. And the rumours go round that Nigel was really unhappy about it. And that was followed up by a tweet from Elon Musk that said that Nigel just doesn't get it and that you had Rupert Lowe would be a better leader. And I think once that happened, you see exactly what happened with Nigel Farage, with many, many people that have tried to either emulate him, become good speakers, good efficient workers for the party, ranging all the way back to 2004 with Kilroy Silk, to David Campbell Bannerman, who was an MP alongside Nigel Farage. When he wanted to become leader, he was ousted. It happened to myself. It's happened to Susan Evans, Patrick O'Flynn. You saw what happened with Douglas Carswell. And then you had Ben Habib recently, and now Rupert Lowe. It is always a strict pattern. And it's very sad that Nigel has to take this route where he feels that people are rising and being good at their jobs, exactly why he's got them there in the first place. But his ego will not allow him or them.
You think he wants this to be a one-man band? Because at the end of the day, he is the man. I mean, he is reform. He was Brexit. He was, you know, he is the reason why reform did so well, other than the Tories doing so badly at the last general election. I mean, is there anyone else right now? Any of these people who comes close to his name recognition, to his appeal to potential reform voters?
Well, you just look at the fact that name recognition is incredibly important in politics. One recognises that. And one doesn't have to dispute the fact that he's done incredibly well in his career. But this really is about going forward. Has he got the capability as a good leader to be able to develop individuals who can sit alongside him and give a broader voice, a broader spectrum of ideas to a wider part of the electorate? That's great leadership. And I've often said that when I worked in the city, and Nigel said that he is a city boy at heart, all the chairmen and chief executives I said and worked for have said one thing: I appoint people who are better than me in many, many jobs to ensure that I can do my job effectively and promote the business. There is no view of that in reform. There certainly wasn't in UKIP, and there's definitely not in the previous incarnations that he's had. And that's why I think we've got this real massive problem. Everybody will now see it as about ego, whether the rights are wrong as these allegations.
Well. So is there ego at play here? Some really stern words here from Stephen Wolf there, who suggests that Nigel didn't like the standing ovation Rupert got at a recent conference. And of course, it's not just about that either. We've seen Elon Musk actually put the boot into Nigel, basically saying he wasn't the leader for reform. And of course, then starts an endorsing Rupert Lowe, which must have hurt Nigel a lot. But a lot of people also complaining that the Reform Party isn't democratic because the leader's not actually elected anyway. These people are just put there, and it's run like a business as well, which is quite concerning. I think the main challenges that Reform have going forward is it does need to be run more democratically. And of course, we've had all these branches open across the country and real enthusiasm. You know, you're starting to give people hope. There's giving people hope, thinking, yeah, this is something else now. We can start actually genuinely supporting and getting behind. But again, though, it seems like it's been snatched away from us and taken down. So one thing that has to happen is this has to be resolved very quickly. We know Rupert Lowe is extremely popular, but there has to be I think, an election on the leadership so the people can decide, because you can't have a party just run by one person making all the decisions, because that really does become a dictatorship then. And it is causing a lot of infighting. So if Reform want to be successful going forward, they have to solve this issue very quickly and stamp it out, because a lot of people have lost trust now in these latest developments, and branches have been collapsing in places. And we don't want that. We want a viable alternative to the uni party. But if people are actually looking at this and thinking that they're no different, then, you know, all hope's going to be gone, isn't it? So very sad there. Now, we've got Damon coming on very soon, but the other story I just want to really quickly cover and I'm going to just show you this now, is another lie from the Labour Party. We have a row erupting. Now, this was published in the Swindon Advertiser. About last general election, Keir Starmer came down to my local Morrison store, actually. I was trying to get in there whilst he was there at the time to try and challenge him about his allegiances to the World Economic Forum and the Trilateral Commission, but I couldn't get anywhere near him because you can see like how the mainstream media play. It looks like, oh yeah, he's just walking around a supermarket, people shop in the background, but it's not like that at all. He's got his ring of steel around him, these big thugs basically who just shove you around like big bullies. So you couldn't get anywhere near him. It's just totally for the cameras. I filmed everything. I'll put it on this channel one day so people can see what it's really like, and how we are actually misled by the mainstream media. But one thing that I really want to bring up is he promised to us in Swindon that they'd freeze our council tax. And it turned out to be another lie that he's gone and done. They're backtracking on now. I know certainly in my area it's going up 5%, which is outrageous. When they told us going to freeze it, there's the services are going down. The roads near me are the potholes. It's like the surface of the moon. But I think the point I was trying to bring up about this is the way that they can just brazenly lie about things to get into power, and just being extremely disappointing, to be quite honest, because so many people have been hoodwinked by this. Just total lies going in. And I get people were desperate at the time and they would just, vote for change. But is this the sort of change we wanted? Just brazen lying about all this, just allowing this to happen with no vote or nothing on the contrary? How can people put out a manifesto, then totally go back on it? They started freezing granny when they took their fuel allowance away. One of the worst things, I think, was the way they attacked the farmers, taking basically trying to put out the next generation of farmers all to just to make 500 million when they're going to send another 3 billion out to that cesspit of corruption in Ukraine. So it just really makes me sick. But the problem is we've got another 4 years of this clown show, and we've got to do something about it before our country utterly collapses. But I just wanted to talk about that story because it came very, very close to home, so we will monitor that. Hopefully Debbie will be back soon. Debbie's greatly missed on this show. Anyway, going forward this evening, we are joined by Damon Sharp, who is about to join us. I'm going to add you now, Damon. Hi Damon, how are you?
Hi Martin, I'm okay. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. We're trying something out different tonight, just to let you know. We're streaming on YouTube, just to try some different things out and to see how that works. We mentioned Debbie's still very unwell at the moment, so we're very sad. I'm sure you pass your best wishes on to her.
Yeah, Debbie's a wonderful person. I've come to know her quite well and respect her, and get well soon to Debbie. It's a shame that she's not with us at the moment. So yeah, and thank you for having me on as well tonight.
No, absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Now, Damon, so you're part of the British Lions for Freedom. For the people who haven't come across your movement before, would you just be able to give us a bit about the background?
Yeah, so obviously when March 2020 came around and everything, happened from there, once I started to realize within a few months that, that things weren't right, I attended my first ever protest. I'm not a career protester. I attended my first protest in August 2020 in London. And then from there, just continued to attend them, and then felt that I had to, do a little bit more, and form British Lions for Freedom in May 21. Started off very basic, doing tours around the UK in a van, handing out papers, leaflets, just with a shoulder bag on and stuff. I felt that, I had to get out and connect UK wide with teams and groups, and moving on to what we'll discuss shortly with the event coming up. all of that seems to have come to fruition now to some degree. And I'm overwhelmed by the response from people around the UK that are going to come and support us next Saturday. But just building, obviously building personal relations with people around the UK, supporting as many groups and individuals as possible, learning a lot of lessons along the way, some very painful ones. And then we just started to take it like a little bit further. That's kind of my mentality. I've repeatedly said this, so I'm sorry if I'm parroting myself to some who know me quite well. But from a psychological point of view, my mindset, like I did 20 years as a bodybuilder, so I'm never really happy. I'm never satisfied. I'm very OCD. I'm a perfectionist. So I'd say for me, like personally, nothing's really ever good enough. So we started to evolve, and then we did the Rebellion Tour. We started the Rebellion Tour in 2023 in Birmingham, April 15th, and I had an idea that day, a few ideas. We did an emergency broadcast in the train station. I've not posted that yet on our socials. Again, reposted it, but I will soon. I'm just waiting for the video to come back that's been edited. And then we've just, we've done 5 events. We've done Birmingham, Bradford, Glasgow, York, and Leicester. And then this Saturday coming on the 22nd is our 6th back, where it all began in Birmingham. Right. And I'm not an events manager. I've had to learn as I've gone, and being a perfectionist, it's been difficult to do that. But we're I think we're getting better every time. And I think our MO at British Alliance for Freedom is community outreach, mass distribution of information. We believe in mass awareness and just trying to evolve and improve all the time and become bigger and better for the right reasons.
So what are the other events involved then?
Well, okay, so I mean, I could, we don't have time to go into the micro details, but that's to be honest, that's the stuff that's on our website at the moment. I just want to explain how that's actually not really. The website was hacked 4 times, and it wasn't on a secure. Yeah, it wasn't on a secure server. So anyone that's visiting our website at the moment, there's nothing on there. So we did 3 years developing that. It was hacked 4 times. I'm not a technical person, so I think obviously we're trying to do things on the cheap. And the guy Stuart, who was doing a lot of my graphic designs and everything, and the website, he was doing it, after a while, he was doing it for free for a long, long time. Yeah. And that, if he hadn't have done that, would have cost me thousands of pounds that I didn't have. And so we've lost the website. So that's very, very, like, if you're visiting the website, that's not reflective of who we are. So I'd say at the moment, social media, if people are on Facebook and Telegram, that's the best place to go for us. But I do intend on trying to rebuild that website at some point, but I'm just overwhelmed at the moment with so much going on. After the 22nd, I'm going to have a little bit of a step back, and we've got a new team coordinator, Beverly, who's going to be taking over. She already has, but with this event, I've kind of got to take this on because of the experience. But yeah.
And we know, like, movements like this, they're attacked, like by the British Army 77th Brigade and things like that. Like our Facebook pages, actually, we've been under a massive attack recently for all that. We've managed to still keep going, but it just shows the sinister things going on in the background to stop like ordinary decent people trying to change things and make a movement. They're actively doing that. When you've been on these your events, have you seen any like odd behavior or anything like that? Like the stand up to racism mob and all that sort of stuff carrying?
No, not with us. I mean, not with us personally. I've done other rallies. I've attended 3 rallies for Students Against Tyranny. James Harvey, who's the founder, he gets a lot of attention from Antifa. I've done 3 speeches at 3 events. I've been called Nazi scum, racist scum, all sorts in that mob mentality in that moment when I've been up on stage with a microphone. But once I step down off stage and I have one-to-one interactions with members of the left, Antifa, pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestinian protesters, whatever, they've been overwhelmingly positive. And I'll give an example. I was out a couple of weeks ago. I went, first of all, I attended a Monday. It was a rally on the Monday, which was against grooming gangs. And the reason I attended was one of our female members, Carol, she was going along. So I just said, well, I'll go along simply because she is, to support her. And then then there was one on the Saturday following. So so I just, I didn't really feel, felt it'd be a little bit of a non-event based on the Monday. And the organizer said to me, you can have a couple of minutes. I just really went to talk about BLFF very quickly and just say, we've got this event coming up on March 22nd. We want to try and bring people together from all sides. And I hate to use the word sides and us and them, because it's all part of the chess. It's all part of the pawns. But you know where I'm coming from. So so I attended that rally, and it ended up, as I understood it at the time, there was the grooming gangs rally that was organised at St. Peter's Square, and I was told, I'm not sure if this is true, but there was a UKIP rally organised in Piccadilly. Now it all merged into one, so it became basically a UKIP rally, led by the UKIP leader. And
was last Saturday? Did you say?
It was a couple of weeks ago. There's a live stream on I did a 45-minute live stream on my Facebook platform from later on in the day, because I was busy just getting on with my job, handing out information, and I felt the energy was fairly good. And then, but obviously because of that, the counter protesters were there. A lot of members of like Antifa, masked up, appearing to be intimidating, not necessarily to me. But it really doesn't faze me. Obviously, I've been run the gauntlet in the last 4 or 5 years. I've dealt with a lot. Yeah. So, and at the end of the day, like, once the police actually like disappeared and the crowd had dispersed, there was just a few of us left. And I spoke to two Muslim girls, pro-Palestinian girls. I spoke to a girl from Liverpool who was white, and she was pro-Palestinian. I spoke to a rational member of Antifa, and we all had a really good conversation. And it ended up very, very in very good. It ended up in a good manner, and I found that overwhelmingly. But I don't. For me, that's how I tend to get on with people across the spectrum, simply because of how I am. And I'm not saying it in any sort of big-headed way, but it's just. Do you find a lot of people are being played, and I see a lot of hatred on all sides, and I didn't agree with all of the rhetoric and the chants that were coming from the group that I was involved with as well. So my saying is that I'll never, and this is what I instill within British Alliance for Freedom. One of my sayings is, I'll never judge the one or the few based on the actions of a demographic, and I'll never judge a demographic based on the actions of the one or the few. So basically, I take people as I find them. Yeah.
Do you find like a lot of these like protest groups though probably are paid to be there? Because I know Stand Up to Racism and all that, well, allegedly they've been funded by like George Soros and all the rest of them. Now recently they've actually received funding from US aid as well. So a lot of these like things are going to start drying up very soon. You won't see these people there, from what I understand. With their placards are always the same, aren't they? Being printed out by the same people, like they got their faces covered because they don't want to be recognised for their potential employers, because they're getting £100 to be there. So do you think like that fund, when it dries up, do you think there might be a brighter future, but like things like I guess people with like good hearts are trying to achieve?
I hope so, and there's people with good hearts on all sides, and there's also bad on all sides as well. In any demographic, you get good and bad. And if you're going to generalize, if you're going to say that that's what the media do very well, and the government, if you're going to generalize one group of people at one rally, or you're going to tarnish, a whole group on another side, then you're literally playing the game that they want you to play. You're being maneuvered as a pawn. So with regards to like I think like I said, I've had a lot of very good conversations with people on all sides, and even people on, I would be classed as right or far right and I've been, like I said, I've been called a Nazi and everything, which is ridiculous. But you know, so be it. But I think that within those crowds, I noticed like that I did one speech for Students Against Tyranny, and there was one guy who was a lot older. I think if you look at the demographic within members of the left and Antifa, I think that they're young, they're students. There was one guy who must have been like in his mid-40s, and we had a yellow British Lines for Freedom T-shirt on that day. And do you know what? This is a grown man that came out with this. He said, "You look like a bumblebee." And I just laughed and thought, like, and he was the one with the microphone making all of the noise. And I think, yeah, within them, there's paid agitators also as well. I mean, the thing is, you know, we actually do have a camouflage brand that we created. And you know what I should have said to him? I should have said, well, I wore the bright yellow because I thought if I wear camo today, you literally will you'll have a breakdown, won't you, pal? But we had in Leicester, like we did the Leicester event, and we afterwards on social media there was 77th Brigade. It actually self-titled 77th Brigade. I don't feel there were anything to do with like military or anything at that level, but maybe they were just puppets, but they were self-labeled 77th Brigade, who were there, who were taking pictures of us, who were then belittling us through photographs. We had somebody that turned up because when we did Leicester, the tribe of Leicestershire have a memorial to the vaccine, the people who died from the vaccine. And it's very classy and it draws a lot of attention. And we were setting up and one person came along and he was so loud and so beyond, it was so theatrical. Yeah. It's like he was in a musical in the West End. And I just looked at him and I said 77th Brigade in the house. And yeah, one of our guys, Joey, well, one of the security for Tribal Leicestershire dealt with him and one of our team. And I have to say, credit to the police that day. You know, we gave them the 6 days notice. We didn't ask for permission. We told them, they were there. They were very helpful and they dealt with that. And they dealt with a few problems for us that day, as well as they did in York. So, yeah. And do you know what it is, Martin, is that when these people come out, this is what they might not realize. And I'll say this now for any of them that are watching. Every time they come out and try this, it only encourages us. It only makes us know and lets us know that we are bang over the target. So, you know,
absolutely.
It doesn't discourage us one bit. Keep doing it, please.
I've got to say, well, no, we know the saying, don't they? If you're not getting flack, then you're not over the target. So whatever you're doing, you must be doing something right. So yeah, this is your Facebook page here. Actually, I think this is.
Yeah.
So where's that picture taken? Is that one of your recent ones? Do you fund the Who? I like that.
That wasn't ours. Yeah, that was actually from London on the 23rd of September, which was organised by Fiona Rolls Diamond. That was the Worldwide Rally for Freedom. That was merged with the Do Not Consent campaign that Mark Sexton put together that day. And I have to say that also took flack from people supposedly on our side as well, and criticism. But the whole thing behind the Do Not Consent was one of the most encouraging things I've seen in the 4 to 5 years I've been involved in the freedom movement, where so many people came together. Even people that may not actually really like each other that much just came together, and it was, the thing is, when that Do Not Consent campaign was launched, Rishi Sunak came out just after it and said publicly, we're gonna push back the heat pumps from 2030 to 2035. I think he said, because we risk losing consent of the British people. Now, why would a prime minister even come out and say that?
Yeah,
it could be coincidence, but regardless of that, the fact that so many people from around the UK came together in one meeting that was criticised, and then we did the rally afterwards. That was really encouraging for me, because there's a lot of negative stuff as well that you get surrounded by when you're involved in anything, and the freedom movement is no different, because it attracts the best of people and it attracts the worst and everything in between. So
well, exactly.
I just want to try, and that's what next week's going to be. Is I just want to try and bring people together, as best that I possibly can.
And you've done a fantastic job of doing that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking now, actually, as I mentioned, like tonight we're just playing around like YouTube and stuff. If you've got time, should we go onto the Facebook page and then we'll go live there, and we can play these things again, then we can go through the interview again perhaps as well, if you want to do that. Are you happy to do that if we do that, if I send another link and we can go ahead and do that? So we can start basically our interview again, but we'll do it on like the Facebook page.
Okay, yeah, I'm not very tech savvy, so I'm not entirely sure. I'm happy to do whatever you want to do. Yeah,
no worries. For the people watching now on YouTube, I'm going to end the stream now. I'm going to stay on quickly, have a quick chat with Damon, and then we'll go onto our Facebook page probably about 8:30, and then we'll broadcast from there. So I'm going to end the stream now. So people, if you're watching live, jump over onto our Facebook page, and we shall continue then.
I think obviously, you know what you're doing, Martin. I trust what you're doing. So I assume that people that are going to watch this on YouTube are then going to jump over to Facebook. I think that's, but you probably, I'm happy to.
Not tonight. We are experimenting on YouTube tonight, so I've not done that before. So but as you know, normally Debbie and I would be on our Facebook page. So I'll end the stream here in a second, and we'll jump over there, and we can.
It's your show. Sure.